Thanks to our musicians this morning, Lily Forbush and Betsy Goldberg. And thanks to all of you who have rowed or walked or driven your boats over here. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Whether you've called this place home for years or if you are visiting for the first time, know that you are welcome here. You are welcome with your questions as well as your answers, your doubts as well as your certainties, your wholeness as well as your broken places. Our announcements this morning are all thanks. Thanks for the tag sale yesterday and raising over $3,000. Thanks for all the lovely hands and bodies that set it up, made the sales, and then took it down afterwards. But the force of nature deserving the greatest praise is our own Maggie Goodwin. So now let us settle ourselves, put our phones and devices, as they say, in worship mode, and I invite Carol to come up and do the chalice lighting. She will read, and I will light the chalice.
So I'm the one who had to put my device into worship mode. I should introduce myself. Good morning. My name is Carol Siddle. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I, too, am grateful for everybody who rode over. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Even if there are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be cleaning you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Orrick. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a longtime member of USNH and a lifetime member of our denomination. Excuse me, of our denomination. Unitarian Universalism is a religion of covenant rather than creed. The covenant composed by members of this congregation inspires our relationships with each other and in the wider world. You will find our covenant printed in your order of service and in the chat on your live stream. Together let us say, we covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we will strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, and seek humor and joy.
Please join me in singing hymn number 134, Our World is One World, in the gray hymnal. We take time in our service each week to name the concerns of our community. We are a caring congregation, and pastoral support is offered through our pastoral care team. The Reverend Marion Weisel is helping to provide pastoral care through this end of this month, July. If you or someone you know is struggling and could use support, please reach out to the pastoral care team at pastoralcare@usnh.org or call the office to contact our congregational administrator, Jamie Ross. You may also leave a note of concern in the Joys and Sorrows book in the lobby. So today there are no specific joys and sorrows that have been posted either in the book or online. And I think we're going to invite people to share their concerns by passing the mic. And I'm going to ask Jackie, are you here? Yes, would you help me with that? And turn the mic on. Let me be sure. I think it's on. And if you'll raise your hand, and when you speak, please give your name, and remember to share only your own concerns, not those of others. Thank you.
I'm Sharon McBlain, and I've a joy that we had a fundraiser yesterday for Waverly along with the tag sale. We made some money, but mostly we made a lot of friends for USNH. We were the welcome committee at the door. I just want to remind people of two of our Waverly volunteers, Teresa Childs and Kathy Jackson, who are both having some difficult times right now.
My uncle, Edward Simon, Uncle Eddie, the last of the generation, the last person who has known me all of his life, all of my life. He drove me home from the hospital when I was born. I died this week at the age of 95, a wonderful man.
Thank you.
Just want to thank everybody who worked on the tag sale, especially Toby and especially Maggie, and everybody was just wonderful.
And my wife Jane has a birthday tomorrow. I won't say how old she is, but anyway, happy birthday.
My name is Sally, and I sort of have a mixed message. On Wednesday, my husband was biking and got hit by a car. But but he was not hurt worse. He has a broken shoulder, and he had a dislocated shoulder that was fixed, more or less, reduced, and he's recovering, but his left shoulder is bad. Anyhow, he's trying to keep his spirits up.
My name is Naomi, and I want to thank Sharon, who had cataract surgery on Friday and baked a gajillion cookies for the lemonade stand the next day.
All right. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you all. I want to share a particular joy that I have. Next Saturday, my beloved spouse Judy and I leave for Switzerland, where we will meet my girls, my daughters, for a week's cruise on the Rhine River. And this is to celebrate my 85th birthday. Thank you. All right. So I'll turn to Barbara.
Carol has chosen this spoken meditation for me. You know you knit too much when, before you buy anything such as a hammock or curtains, you seriously wonder whether you could knit it. You know you knit too much when you take knitting to a wedding in case there's a little time before the bride comes down the aisle. Double points if you are the bride. You know you knit too much when you check a book from the library just because you heard one of the characters knits. You know you knit too much when you cite the fact that knitting burns about 90 calories an hour, not allowing for extra style, conviction, and retrieving your ball of yarn from under the couch. SABLE, S-A-B-L-E, is a common knitting acronym that stands for Stash Acquisition Beyond Life Expectancy. Achieving SABLE is not, as many people who live with these knitters believe, a reason to stop buying yarn. But for the knitter, it is an indication to write a will, bequeathing the stash to an appropriate heir. It turns out I will buy any yarn, even yarn I will never use if the store discounts it by more than 50%. It is a little-known fact that much like birds who can always find the north, knitters can always find yarn. And now a moment of silent meditation.
Every week, we lift up the spiritual value of generosity by taking an offering for the ministries of this congregation. Those here in person can make donations on their way out of the sanctuary at the end of the service. Or there is now the QR code in the order of service to make a donation. For those watching online while the music plays, I urge you to consider navigating to the usnh.org website and making a donation. Donations can also be sent by U.S. mail to the Unitarian Society of New Haven, 700 Hartford Turnpike, Hamden, Connecticut, 06517. The offering will now be gratefully received.
I think this might come up a little bit. Maybe. Okay. So I am a computer programmer for a company that helps people stay out of nursing homes. Most importantly, this is a job that allows me to help people without having to interact directly with any people or their problems. I'm also the current president of the Humanist Association of Connecticut, which meets here, and we have a lovely event tomorrow night. And I have been a smart recovery facilitator, much to my surprise, for almost 9 years. Smart Recovery was created for people seeking a self-empowering way to overcome any type of addictive problem, including, but by no means limited, to drugs, alcohol, gambling, pornography, overeating, undereating, shoplifting, working, shopping, even knitting. Really, any behavior that a person might notice is standing between them and the life that they would prefer to be living. SMART offers a 4-point program, which is to build and maintain motivation, cope with urges or cravings, identify and solve the other problems in your life, and achieve lifestyle balance in order to prevent relapse. This is delivered via free weekly group meetings, face-to-face and online, run by a trained facilitator that focuses on behavior, not substances, with practical and evidence-based recovery tools. The outcome is a journey, a recovery journey, defined by the person in recovery, a healthy, happy, and meaningful life, and a deeper relationship with self, family, and friends. Our program is not prescriptive, and it is very much in harmony with the UU principles. So with that, I'll start with the first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Do you feel frustrated when someone doesn't take your good advice? Or worse, when someone gives you the advice to do something you've already tried that didn't work, and then they get frustrated with you about it? So we think that telling people what to do is counterproductive, and frankly, a little insulting. So instead, we help people think about their thinking and motivations. We don't encourage the use of labels in our meetings. We believe a person is much more than their problems. And it's just weird. Wouldn't you find it uncomfortable if I introduced myself as a mitral valve prolapse? But we don't tell people they can't use labels either. Sometimes people find labeling themselves supportive. And we encourage people to continue to use any and all strategies that they're finding useful.
The second principle of Unitarian Universalism, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Our meetings are free and open to the public. We do ask for donations, and we sell handbooks, but our meetings are free, and our content is available in various forms on the website. We don't require people to count days since they last engaged in their problematic behavior. Lots of people do count, which is fine. But if someone returns to their self-destructive behavior, we make sure they don't go away feeling like they've wasted the time that they were in recovery from that relapse. Our meetings are a guilt-free and shame-free space. It takes courage to keep trying. We celebrate every win and offer to examine every setback as a learning experience. It's not possible to unlearn a lesson learned.
Third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. We don't prescribe how a person should implement their spiritual beliefs in their recovery. When I first became a facilitator, I truly expected everyone to be an atheist. And we do have lots of atheists. But we also have plenty of people who have deeply held religious and spiritual beliefs and practices that help them in their recovery. We encourage participants to incorporate their beliefs according to their personal needs and principles.
The fourth UU principle is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Our intent is to help people figure out how to build a life they don't want to relapse from. Toward that end, we explore each person's individual values and encourage them to find ways to prioritize their values in their life. We also help people explore the relationship between their beliefs and reality and how that informs their actions.
Fifth principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and society at large. Now, I've already mentioned that we don't prescribe any particular spiritual practices in our meetings, but we're also happy to be part of a diverse program. We have a saying, the single most effective method of recovery is whatever is working for you right this minute. So we encourage people to investigate other peer support groups. inpatient, outpatient programs, spiritual practices, medication-assisted treatment, therapy, whatever else you feel drawn to. We encourage people to utilize whatever works for them. I've had meetings where participants gave reviews of the other types of meetings in the area.
The sixth UU principle is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Smart Recovery International has a vision of an addiction-free world where people strive together to lead the best lives for themselves, their families, and their communities. Tens of thousands of people now gather weekly at SMART meetings in 23 countries, and not just the English-speaking ones. People anywhere in the world can also attend meetings online, as well as free access to online support forums and recovery apps. The Smart Recovery Handbook has been published in 14 languages, including Arabic, Danish, English, Farsi, German, Korean, Mandarin Chinese, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Swedish, and Vietnamese. There is also a culturally appropriate version for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples of Australia. Additionally, Smart Recovery has a dedicated family and friends program for people affected by addictive behaviors of significant others, while Inside Out program is specially designed to provide assistance for inmates within correctional facilities across the United States, the UK, and Australia.
Seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence for which we are a part. Now, Smart Recovery doesn't do anything specifically ecologically focused, but I propose that respect for anything outside of oneself requires respect for oneself. If a person is engaging in self-destructive behavior, they're not even able to engage with this principle. And once someone is making choices to live a life according to their values, this can be one of the things that they decide is important to them.
The eighth principle is building a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and institutions. Smart Recovery's prison program, Inside Out, is probably the most direct implementation of this in SMART. Not only are we teaching a multicultural group of people, but when religiosity or non-religiosity is a matter of conscience, we're providing a program for people who would not otherwise be able to access a recovery program. Access to SMART's programs has had to be insisted upon by federal courts to specify specifically for this reason.
About my claim that this is an effective program. You know, it's difficult to measure the effectiveness of a peer support recovery program. You may have 1,000 people who enrolled at the beginning of a study, but enough disappear before the end that your results end up kind of skewed. Researchers who really want a solid study have had to resort to studying soldiers and prisoners. And for non-military researchers, prisoners are really the only option. Now, the most recent and arguably best designed study was done in Australia on 6,000 inmates with an addiction history. Because this was such a well-designed study, the article reporting these results was listed as the leading article and an invited article, with editorial, in the Journal of Forensic Practice in 2016. The major result was a 42% reduction in reconvictions or violent crimes within 2 years of release, and a 21% reduction for any type of crime among those attending at least 10 SMART meetings. There was also a significant delay in time to offense for SMART attendees. We're not talking about recidivism, which can just occur from missing a probation appointment. They counted convictions in a court. The results were similar for the 7 demographic group studies, including Aboriginals who had a low average education level. And there's a reference after the postlude in your order of service, so you can actually read the whole study if you're interested. So if you haven't noticed, this talk is about living our values every day. And I would be remiss if I didn't invite you to become a SMART recovery facilitator. I know, I haven't done any in-depth explanation of the tools, but nobody becomes a carpenter because they understand what a miter box is. Either this piques your interest or it doesn't. Now, if you would dismiss this opportunity just because you don't have any familiarity with addiction, you're in good company. That's exactly what I did. And I'm here to tell you, I was wrong. What I've noticed is that this thing we call addiction is actually an ordinary part of being human. Of course, when someone is trying to quit gambling or an addictive substance like nicotine, cocaine, or fentanyl, they're going to correctly point out that their struggle is extremely difficult and even life-threatening. But if you really think about it, problematic addiction-adjacent behavior is everywhere. If it's not destructive or illegal, we call it a foible, a quirk, or an eccentricity. Here are a few maybe not quite addictive behaviors that I've noticed in myself. So during the pandemic, I made sure we had a brownie every afternoon, no matter what, even though I was slowly gaining weight that I very much did not want to gain. In fact, I can turn down any candy as long as it isn't chocolate. I have worried mightily that I might not have packed enough knitting projects or books to last the length of my vacation. In fact, I have even purchased books in Germany and yarn in England. Even though I gave up coffee to make my cardiologist happy, I still drink about a pot of decaf every day. And even though I may be really, really tired, I'll watch just one more YouTube video before bed, and maybe another. I buy seeds for vegetables that I never plant. In fact, I spend a lot of time poring over seed catalogs every February and March with this deep feeling of craving in the pit of my stomach for all of those beautiful vegetables, even the ones I would never, ever eat. Now, I might decide that I want to change some of these behaviors, or I might not. You get it. This is completely normal human experience. It's all a matter of degree, control, and motivation. Now, here are just a few things that I've used SMART recovery tools to help me with. I reframed an irrational anger that was making me want to quit my dream job. I recovered from burnout without having to quit my dream job. I've used the tools to help me deal with insomnia, cope with the death of my father, and even make a couple of big decisions. All right. If I've sparked your curiosity, feel free to log into the Smart Recovery website. It's just www.smartrecovery.org. You're welcome actually to drop in on an online meeting. You can say you're just listening. Most meetings don't have that thing where you have to check in with your camera on so that they don't get Zoom bombed. If you do, you'll find another one. Trust me, most of them will let you in. You can read the blog. There's a lot on there. You can watch some videos, explore the resources, donate if you're so moved, buy a book, download the app, or even, my favorite option, start the process to become a facilitator. If you need to take advantage of the standing scholarship for anybody who's in New England, just let me know. And of course, you can always talk to me. I love to talk about this. So the best thing that I've gotten from Smart Recovery is the extraordinary honor of being witness to people winning the battle to give up some very addictive substances and behaviors and enjoying living the lives that they've created, that they really want, and that they're happier living. My only regret is that I didn't get involved when I first heard about it.
Thank you. Please join us in singing hymn number 124, Be That Guide.
As we extinguish our chalice, together let us say, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen.
Consider a lighthouse. It stands on the shore with its beckoning light, guiding ships safely into the harbor. The lighthouse can't uproot itself, wade out into the water, grab the ship by the stern and say, "Listen, you fool, if you stay on this path, you will break upon the rocks." No, the ship has some responsibility for its own destiny. It can choose to be guided by the light in the lighthouse, or it can go its own way. The lighthouse is not responsible for the ship's decisions. All it can do is be the best lighthouse it knows how to be.